Hi there, this is Lee McQueen of McQueen Press, and I'm here with,
Yahne Ndgo.
and we are at the Green Party Convention in Houston, Texas. And Yahne Ndgo spoke earlier tonight. What did you think about how your speech went over?
Um, well, it seemed to go over well. People, um, said that they appreciated the message, so that was positive.
Definitely. I know that I did. There was actually a standing ovation. It really resonated. Have you been finding that people have been really responding to what you've been saying?
Well, yeah, because what I say is that it's time for a love-based, connection-based uh, approach to uh, the building of our future, and that we should make sure that everyone is okay. And, that's a message that's going to be in harmony with the majority of human beings in the world. So, I mean, I'm not saying anything that is really, I mean, there's some controversy in some of the realities of, that I'm talking about, like I'm talking about things like white supremacy, in the context of, how that can impact our ability to work together to create a better future for all. But the motivating force is love, and the motivating force is the love for the people who are listening, as well as those who they know and those who may never hear. And so I think that because that is the core of where my message comes from, that it is generally well received.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with making sure that everybody is okay.
No, it's the
Um,
most important thing that
yeah,
I think that we can do is take care of each other as if each other is ourself, and to really, I'm not a religious person, but that biblical principle that starts off the Christian Bible is that we as human beings are the caretakers of the earth. And so we need to take care of this earth and take that responsibility. It really is what how it manifests, that we have another level of ability, as it relates to the transformation of the world and towards the positive or towards the negative. And so we have to really honor that responsibility and care for each other, and that's the way that we actually, better care for our own selves. So yeah, I mean, it's to me it's the most fundamental concepts. Like, we all feel guilty and we feel bad when we walk by people who are on the street and begging for food. And the reason that we feel that is because we know that no one should have to go through that.
hmm
And we actually have the ability to build a society in which no one does go through that. And then we can be relieving them and relieving ourselves of that. And because I do that work, that's the only thing that gives me any kind of that gives me the really any strength in that moment, because it hurts me so much to be confronted with that reality for so many people. And I know that I'm working to transform that, and that's the thing that enables me to keep going. And if all of us who have those feelings do that same work, then that feeling is going to go away, because that hunger is going to go away, that unnecessary hunger, the unnecessary struggle, the unnecessary homelessness. It'll be removed from our world. And then when if we decide we want extra, we can get that extra without it being at the expense of other people, or without it being exploitive.
hmm
And so, but me personally, I just think that most people won't need that extra once they start tapping into the things that are most dynamic and amazing and beautiful about being human. Then you're going to just need enough, and you're going to be much more inclined to share all of the rest. And if you are amazing enough to be a vessel through which amazing resources come, then you'll just have even more to share, and you'll be able to impact even more lives, and you'll be even more overjoyed by that potential reality. So that's, I think, where humanity is ready to head.
hmm I like that you mentioned like the first book of the Bible, Genesis, because I
Hmm.
think the very first chapter actually outlines man's stewardship over planet Earth.
Mhm.
And if, only people would take a minute, just a minute, to look at that, it's very, very direct on what we're supposed to do.
Well, I think it's really interesting that we live in a country that claims Christianity as its predominant religion, and so much of what happens within the driving sectors of our world go completely against the concepts that are taught through the Bible.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's, I think about that quite often,
Very
actually.
contradictory.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
significant contradiction. If we actually lived in a way that was more aligned principally with it, we wouldn't have mega churches, or, we wouldn't have, I mean, as a pastor of a church, I just think that you should be humble in how you live, and everything is being transformed in order to reimagine what our world is supposed to be like, even from a spiritual place of being one of greed, and that's ultimately what is represented. And we try to give it all these different kinds of names, to make it seem like it's not what it is, but we
Hmm.
just really don't need to be trying to acquire more than what's necessary.
That sounds like capitalism to me.
Well, certainly, certainly, and and that's the religion of the country. It claims to be Christianity. It's capitalism is the religion. People go to church every day of the week now to get their capitalistic fix, and we can transform it. I think the more people, like, there are so many people who are learning just how, through the experience of this movement, how magical giving is, and how exciting it is, and how good it feels to give as much as possible of yourself, to give your entire being to the betterment of others, and to improving someone else, or supporting or amplifying another person. It feels great. And more people are realizing how awesome it is, and how awesome it feels. And the whole nation is transforming,
Hmm.
and the whole world indeed is as well. And we just have to capitalize on that, capture that, and nurture it. With the fire, you got the embers, and you got to blow it. We got to blow on the embers, and make it a flame, go a flame across this entire planet. And we're ready for it, and I'm excited to see it, and I intend to see it. I intend to see it with my own two eyes.
Well, I wanted to ask you maybe one last question, and that is, you spoke during your speech about the making the transition from Bernie or bust to Bernie to Jill, and what have you experienced during your journey? Because you were very, very vocal supporter and advocate for Bernie Sanders,
Hmm.
and now you've transitioned to Jill Stein, or how do you view that transition?
Well, I feel that there's not a major transition, actually, because what have been a supporter of more than anything is this movement towards a better world. And I feel that I've really felt in my spirit that Bernie was sincere and genuine around his intention to usher that in, and that's why I supported his candidacy, and still support him, and love and appreciate Bernie, for all that he's done, to bring this movement to the fore. And but his movement into the Democratic, or in support of the Democratic, and reforming the Democratic Party, I understand it. I don't believe in that. I believe that the Democratic Party um, is going to give too much of a battle, and has so much power, and that it's just not, to me, it's not worth the fight. Me personally, it's kind of like, some people, they work hard to stay in a relationship that is not healthy. I'm not married to the Democratic Party. I don't need to stay in there. I didn't make that kind of a commitment to them. And so, to have someone who I've been basically dating for this long time, who's not been honest, has not been forthright, has not honored, been reciprocal to me, it just, and there's someone that's courting me, who is demonstrating a desire to actually embody those principles that are really what make up a strong and good and powerful relationship. Then what makes this most sense to me is to move forward into that new relationship. And so it's for me, wherever I need to be in order to continue the fight and to usher in the world that I believe in is where I'm going to go. And so I'm fighting the same fight. The candidate that I am putting my weight behind at this moment is changing, but the fight's not changing. I'm
I
fighting the
understand.
exact same
I
fight
understand.
that I was fighting a month ago and 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And so it's just another day in the process.
Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for taking time to sit with me and tell me your thoughts on where the progressive movement is and your place in it.
Hmm.
Do you think you'll ever run for office yourself?
I do not think that that's what I will do. I've considered it. I've considered it for over on and off for several years in my community, predominantly because there were a couple of seats where I felt like the officials in those seats were not really working hard to help the community grow and honoring their responsibility in those roles. And I felt pretty confident that I would be able to topple those people. But even in that, I felt that with the one person in particular, if I won, I would have taken the seat long enough to open it up to someone else who felt that that was really what their role was, but was going to be working for the people, because it's hard to do that. But I'm very active in my community,
And this is
so
Philadelphia.
yeah,
Okay.
in my part of Philadelphia, I'm very very active, and so
Hmm.
I could have opened. I may have been able to just get the seat open,
Hmm.
but honestly, I just really feel very driven to go wherever it is that I'm needed, and I don't really have like a very local purview.
Hmm.
I want to feed every human in the whole world. So if someone called me from Honduras and was like, there's something that you can do here that you specifically could have an impact and make a difference, and I want to be able to go and do work there. I don't want to be held down to a particular community through the job of being an elected official. I want to have the freedom to go where my heart is drawing me to go to. And so that's the reason why, I don't believe that I would run for office.
Okay. Well, again, I want to just say thank you so much. It's been wonderful to talk to you. And I
Thank
know
you.
that you've got so much more on the agenda for the rest of this convention. And so I look forward to whatever else you're going to do.
Thank you. Thank you.